I never believed in ghosts. I always thought people exaggerated things just to scare others. But what happened to me 2 years ago changed everything. I haven't spoken about it until now, but maybe telling it will help me sleep again. It all started after I moved into a basement apartment in Pittsburgh. It was a cheap rental kind you get when you're desperate and broke. The place was cold, always smelling faintly of wet concrete, and had a weird layout: long, narrow halls and tiny windows near the ceiling. I brushed it off. I had bigger problems than a creepy vibe. The first week went by fine, but on the eighth night, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. exactly. Not just once, every single night after that. At first, I blamed stress, but the pattern became impossible to ignore. And worse, each time I woke up, I felt something watching me from under the bed. Now, I know how that sounds. Under the bed is such a childish fear, right? But I couldn't shake the feeling. It was cold, like ice crawling up my spine. I started keeping my phone flashlight on and even placed a small mirror near the floor to check under the bed without looking directly. One night, when I woke up again at 3:17 a.m., I looked in the mirror and saw something I still can't explain. There were two pale hands gripping the edge of the bed frame from underneath. They weren't mine. I was frozen. I didn't move. I couldn't scream. I just stared as the hands slowly pulled back into the darkness and vanished. I moved out of that bed and started sleeping on the couch. But whatever it was, it followed me. It got worse. Objects began to move. My bathroom light would turn on by itself. My toothbrush was always on the floor, even if I hadn't used it. One night, I saw writing on the fogged up bathroom mirror: back to bed. I stopped sleeping. I was afraid I would never wake up if I did. But exhaustion wins eventually. And when I did sleep again in that cursed bedroom, it was the last night I spent in that apartment. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up gasping for air. I couldn't move. Sleep paralysis, maybe, but my eyes were open, and there it was. A tall, pitch black figure was crawling out from under my bed. Not walking, not floating, crawling like an animal. Long, twisted limbs like they didn't belong to a human body. Its head was featureless, except for a gaping mouth, wide, hollow, and screaming silently. I felt its breath on my face, even though it made no sound. Then it whispered something in my ear. Not in English, not even in a language I knew, but I understood it somehow. You belong here now. That broke the paralysis. I ran. I left everything behind: clothes, wallet, everything. I slept in my car for a week before finding a friend's couch to crash on. The apartment, I never went back. But I still wake up at 3:17 a.m. sometimes, and I still feel the cold breath on my neck. I never thought anything like this could happen in my own family. We are religious, simple people. We don't believe in ghosts, possessions, or black magic, or at least we didn't. But what happened to my cousin Connor still haunts our family to this day. This all took place in Addison, Dallas, Texas. Connor, my maternal uncle's son, was one of the happiest, liveliest people you could meet. Always smiling, always cracking jokes, full of life. Until last Halloween. That's when everything changed. He became quiet, withdrawn. He stopped talking to people. We thought it was just the gym exercises getting to him, but then his behavior turned disturbing. He stopped eating. His eyes had a strange red hue, like he hadn't slept in days. His voice changed. Sometimes he would speak barely about a whisper, and other times he would start laughing out of nowhere, hysterically, with no reason. He started sitting alone in dark rooms, no lights, no fan, no sound, just total silence and darkness. When I visited the village and my mom told me how bad things had gotten, I went to see him myself. I found him sitting in a pitch dark room, crouched on the floor, drawing a black circle with something that looked like ash. All around him were torn amulets, animal bones, and strands of black thread. My blood ran cold. We tried taking him to the hospital, but as soon as we touched him, he screamed like an animal. 4 grown men couldn't hold him down. That's when the village deacon said, "You need to take him to a spiritual healer. This is not medical." We took him to a priest, and what happened there, I can never forget. The moment the priest began reciting verses over him, Connor slashed his own arms with his nails. His eyes turned completely white, no pupils. He was staring up at the ceiling, grinning, and then he said something that tore right through my soul. "This body is mine now." The priest told us this wasn't just a spirit. This was a powerful jinn, one that had fully possessed him. He believed Connor had picked it up from an abandoned graveyard he and his friends had visited just a few weeks prior. For several nights, the exorcism continued, but the entity inside him grew more violent. It mocked the Bible verses, it spat on the healer, and it threatened to kill anyone who tried to remove it. One night during a powerful prayer, Connor's body rose off the floor, completely suspended in the air. His back was arched unnaturally, his mouth wide open, and multiple voices were coming out at once. Men, women, children, all at once. Then one morning it ended. We entered the room. Connor was lying on the floor, still, lifeless. His mouth was bleeding, his fingernails had been torn off, there were bruises on his face and scratch marks on his arms. And in the middle of the floor was the same black circle, but this time with strange writing in the center, Latin like letters, but they made no sense to any of us. We buried him before sunset and locked the room. No one goes in there now. The family treats it like a cursed place. But some nights, neighbors say they still hear laughter from inside. And Connor, we remember him as a kind, smiling soul until something demonic claimed his body and ended his life. I'm not superstitious, or at least I wasn't until I brought that mirror into my home. This happened last year in late October. My wife and I had just moved into a new house in Connecticut. It was an old place, creaky floors, stone fireplace, all the charm we were looking for. We were on a tight budget, so we started visiting local estate sales to find vintage furniture and decorations. That's when we found it. An old, ornate mirror. The frame was made of blackened silver carved with strange symbols I couldn't place. The woman selling it seemed eager to get rid of it. She practically begged us to take it for half price. Looking back, that should have been the first warning. We brought it home and hung it in the hallway across from our bedroom. The moment it was up, the air in the house changed. Not cooler, heavier, like something was watching. That night, I had the first nightmare. I was walking down the hall toward the mirror, but my reflection wasn't moving with me. It just stood there, grinning. Then it lifted its hand, not in sync with mine, and reached through the glass toward me. I woke up gasping for breath. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't want to scare her over a dream. But the next day, I noticed something odd. The mirror had fingerprints on the inside of the glass, like someone had pressed their hands from the other side. I cleaned it. I tried not to think about it, but that night I heard it, a scratching sound coming from the hallway. When I checked, nothing was there, but the mirror was fogged up, like someone had breathed on it. That's when I told my wife we needed to take it down, but when I tried to lift it off the wall, I couldn't. It wouldn't budge. It felt like it was bolted to the wall, though we'd only hung it with a simple hook. That night I slept with the bedroom door closed and locked. Things got worse. We started finding shadows in places they didn't belong. I'd walk past the mirror and see two reflections when I was alone. Sometimes the mirror wouldn't show me at all, just the hallway behind me, empty and stretching far longer than it actually was. And then my wife started acting strange. She became distant, pale, like she wasn't sleeping. She said She kept hearing whispers from the mirror at night calling her name. She covered it with a blanket, but in the morning the blanket was always on the floor and the mirror spotless. One night I woke up to the sound of glass cracking. I ran to the hallway. My wife was standing in front of the mirror, talking to it, whispering, smiling. I called her name. She didn't respond, just kept whispering, "He is almost here. He is coming through." I rushed forward to pull her away, but the mirror shattered right in front of me from the inside out. She collapsed, blood running from her ears, eyes rolled back. We rushed to the hospital. Doctors couldn't explain what had happened. Neurological trauma with no physical cause. She never woke up. She died 3 days later. I went back home alone. When I returned, the hallway was empty. No mirror, no shards, no sign that anything had ever been there. But sometimes, even now, when I walk past an empty wall, I catch a flicker of movement in the corner of my eye, a reflection, still grinning.